Hello and welcome to the week event. My name is Adrian,
My name is Sammy.
and today we are pleased to have with us Manata team. How are you, Tommy?
Hi, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Right, it's quite an honor to have Mangata with us today, and Tommy have with he amazing presentations for the week event. So now, Tommy, it's your time to present Mangata and share this amazing project.
All right. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am Tommy, also known as Edison Bob from Mangata, and I want to talk a little bit about the big problems that we are currently having in DeFi. I'm not talking about some of the known problems that we have with centralization in DeFi. These are some problems that I think everyone on the planet has to figure out for themselves. I think it's very important that we are staying true
Mira
to
Discord.
the idea and core of crypto, which is to create more decentralization and to give more power to the people, make sure that they can take control of their own money, of their own value. And so this is the direction we're going in. And what we can see today is that DeFi is broken. And what I mean by that is that at the moment, most of crypto is happening in Ethereum. And Ethereum was not really built as a product and as a chain that supports DeFi. Ethereum was actually a proof of concept initially that should show that something like a virtual machine, like a computer on a blockchain is working. And it has proven it really well. You can see that a lot of value is being transacted on Ethereum, but we are also already starting to see the first problems that are happening in Ethereum. And I'm going to list a few of the problems that we're seeing. So let's call them the first generation DeFi problems, because so DeFi has had a really good start in 2020 with the DeFi summer, and we are seeing a few problems already emerge. And so there are two big categories that we're seeing, which is economic inefficiencies and misaligned incentives. So economic inefficiencies is everything where money is not really having its best effect. For example, the most known issue is high gas costs. High gas costs is when in good times you're maybe paying $3 or $5 per transaction, which is already a lot in many parts of the world. And in the congested times, it is like $100 or even more that you pay for a single transaction. Considering that you have to do more than one transaction if you want to, let's say, swap money and move it around a little bit, this is increasingly prohibitive. So most regular people will not be able to transact on Ethereum itself in the future on the core layer. And so many ecosystems are thinking about this: where is everything moving? Is it moving up to higher layers? And we will see what the future will bring. But high gas costs is definitely the biggest problem that we see in Ethereum today, and it will lock out most of the people from Ethereum in the future. We also see the problem that DeFi tokens, so the protocol tokens that many DeFi protocols exhibit, have a low correlation with the protocol activity. So oftentimes you'll see liquidity mining rewards going out on swaps, but the tokens are not really connected in any economic way to the exchange. They are basically given out. The chain has a lot of tokens, it can mint them, but what is actually the meaning of the token? Many protocols are saying this is part of maybe the governance, or they're developing certain initiatives. But what we need to have is actually, if there is a protocol and there is a protocol token, a DeFi token, there should be a there should be a relationship between those two things. And the next and last problem we see in this category is that, let's take ETH again, for example. You could either say you're participating with your ETH in proof of stake, or you can use it and participate in DeFi. But you cannot do both at the same time. So you either have to secure the network and increase the security of the network, or you can participate in DeFi, and these are mutually exclusive. They cannot work together. So either you're having a lot of value in the transactions and DeFi going on, but then the network is not very secure, or you have a highly secure network, but not a lot going on in DeFi. And we will talk about how these problems are getting grouped and how we can think about them, represent them, and develop solutions for them in a minute. The other category of problems that we're seeing is misaligned incentives. So misaligned incentives means where different actors of the system are not playing very well together. For example, Bitcoin originally was solving a problem of misaligned incentives. And that is the problem of, let's say so Bitcoin is basically setting up a system where you don't have to trust a single economic entity like a bank or a financial institution, but instead you're trusting the network. And you can trust the network as much as it is decentralized and as it is playing according to the rules that everyone agrees upon. And the way that the Bitcoin network is achieving this is by aligning the incentive of who? Of the users of the network and the people securing the network. So the miners and the users are getting their incentives aligned by giving value to the miners in the token of the network. So this was an original aligning of incentives. And right now, a lot of the protocols that you see getting innovated in DeFi and Ethereum are basically new innovations on how you can align the incentives of different different user groups. So aligning incentives. Okay, let's look at the misaligned incentives that we see today. And the by far biggest group of misaligned incentives is the topic of miner extractable value. This is a topic that a few people know about and know how big it is, and most people are not aware of it. But actually, everyone should be aware of this topic. So miner or maximum extractable value, what does it mean? It's basically, at the moment, it is institutionalized stealing from users in many cases. So imagine it like this. Imagine you want to swap tokens. Let's say you want to swap Bitcoin against ETH and you go to a decentralized exchange. If you have a swap of a decent size, what would happen is that if you have a lot of interest to buy one token and sell the other token, you would be changing the price, maybe considerably. Or you have maybe a more exotic token and just like a medium or small allocation, but it still would move the price quite a bit. So what would happen in such a situation on the Ethereum network is that a bot would see that you're about to do the transaction, because when you're submitting the transaction, it does not get executed immediately. It is first sent to a memory pool, the mempool, where the transaction is waiting for a few seconds until it gets included into the block of the blockchain. So while it is waiting there, bots will see the transaction and they will look if they can find a way to steal from you. So let's imagine you want to do that swap of ETH against Bitcoin. I don't know, let's say the exchange rate is 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 or whatever. So, but you always have to assume that the price will be a little bit different in the next block. It can change from block to block. So you're never giving an exact price, but you're always giving a price where you can say, it's okay for me if the price slips by 0.5%. Yeah, doesn't really matter for me. I have to accept that the price can be different. So let's agree 0.5% price difference is okay. So when a bot sees this transaction, it knows it can manipulate the price in a way that it just like takes half of that percent, makes the token half that percent more expensive for you by running in front of you, buying so much that the price rises by 0.5%. Then your transaction will come in. You also buy a little bit, and then the bot will sell what he just bought. So this is called front running and back running, or a sandwich attack. And this sandwich attack basically steals your slippage. It takes away the money that you're willing to give up if the price moves by any chance, but it's not moving by chance. Now an attacker is coming in, a front running bot or a value extractor, and is stealing exactly that amount of. And so this is, and as a regular user, you might not even be aware that this is happening, but it's happening in every block that you're seeing on Ethereum network. There is a competition going on every block about who makes the best offer to the validating nodes of the network to steal a little bit of your value. And this has become a whole industry. It's an industry where $1 billion per year have been stolen in the year 2021 alone. And it was just the start of this industry scaling up. So MEV is becoming a huge problem, not only in Ethereum, but it is also spreading to other ecosystems. It's a corruption of the ecosystem, and it's corrupting other ecosystems, and it should not be accepted. Right now, the dominant narrative is that you cannot stop MEV, so you should just play with it. You should also try, if you're a protocol developer or if you're a developer, you should just try to steal as much as you can because others are also doing it, and so everyone should participate. And basically, this is the narrative of democratizing MEV. It's institutionalized stealing in many cases, and it is corrupting the ecosystem. It is filling up blocks. It is leading to failed transaction. It is leading to users getting stolen from. And we do not agree with this. We do not say that. We say that MEV democratization is not the way to go. We need to go for MEV minimization. We should fight MEV as good as possible, as hard as possible, and try to minimize the effects so that it does not negatively affect the users and the ecosystem. So it's a very, very big problem, and this is one of the biggest things we are fighting. You also have other misaligned incentives. So for example, mercenary capital, which means that there are many liquidity providers that are providing liquidity and basically just try to farm the liquidity mining incentives. It's often called rent-seeking actors. So this is capital that moves from pool to pool, but just stays there for as long as it can be extracting more value than it is providing. And it's let's say it's a logical behavior from the perspective of the liquidity provider, but it is creating a lot of uncertainty for protocols. It is creating a lot of value extracting competition between protocols, and it is also creating uncertainty for users because they cannot trust how much the liquidity is in a certain pool, and the liquidity can just change and create drastic price shifts that are not really good for the users. So it's a misaligned incentive between liquidity providers and users. The last category we're seeing here, this is a hard problem to solve because it's mostly about the knowledge of people, but it should at least be addressed. It should at least be acknowledged, and then maybe we can do something about it, is that retail liquidity providers are getting wrecked. So what I mean by that is that most retail, so regular people, liquidity providers, people who think that liquidity providing might be a good idea to earn money, are losing money in the end because they do not really understand how liquidity provision works. And I think the most important thing we need to do here is to actually, so why is it a misaligned incentive? Because retail liquidity providers are basically providing money for other people. By providing liquidity in a way that they are losing out on the impermanent loss, they are maybe losing out on the wrong promise of liquidity mining rewards that are actually not really advantageous for them because they're leaking value in a direction it's not helping. So it's a problem of understanding liquidity properly, knowing and understanding where liquidity provision makes sense, where liquidity mining makes sense, where it is advantageous for the whole ecosystem. This is a lot of thinking about, is it a positive sum game? Is it a negative sum game? So is everyone losing? Is everyone winning? Is someone losing and someone winning? And we need to find systems where we are adding more value to the system than is getting extracted by single actors. So these are the problems we're seeing right now, and these are problems that we at Mangata are addressing when we are building the chain that we're building. So let's fix DeFi, and let's think about these problems together, because I think it's fairly easy to see that all of the problems I just described, they're not a single team alone can solve them. We can only solve them together by exchanging knowledge and by educating each other and finding ways to solve it. But this is the mission we're on. We want to fix DeFi and we want to address those problems. So to do this, we need to understand what we're actually building. And the main thing to consider is that the end game of every DeFi protocol is capital efficiency. What is capital efficiency? Capital efficiency is the question of how much do you pay and how much do you get. And if something is considered to be capital efficient, you pay less to get more. So let's say you want to buy a Bitcoin, and you might want to buy the Bitcoin and see different markets where it is getting exposed. On one market, it costs $19,000. On one market, it costs $20,000. So what is the more capital efficient market for you? Is the market where you buy the Bitcoin cheaper. But it is not only about this simple problem, but it can be a little bit more subtle. Let's say, traditionally, when you start investing, you get a lot of ideas from people on how you go about investing. And one of the most important insights is you can never know what the market is going to do. The market is going into the direction is not predictable to you as a beginner. So you should not put all your money into the same basket at one time. Maybe it's a good idea to do dollar cost averaging or euro cost averaging or whatever your currency is, and basically pay a little bit every month to buy the asset that you're interested in. And if the price moves a lot, you will, over many months, get a good average price and get a position that is average. So let's consider you're doing this on Ethereum. But every transaction that you do is actually adding to the gas costs. And imagine you pay $5, $10, $100 gas costs. So suddenly, dollar cost averaging is not anymore an interesting strategy for you because you just cannot afford it. This is a problem we need to address because it's not capital efficient. So capital efficiency also includes all the additional costs you're having when transacting with a network. And you want to pay less to get more. So capital efficiency is the end game. And the logical conclusion of this is that in 5 years, 99% of all DEXs will be dead. You will not see them anymore. Why is that? Because let's consider that most DEXs are just clones of SushiSwap, Uniswap, or another protocol. And if they're not more capital efficient than the other systems, then the system with the most liquidity will win because it's the most attractive. But since Uniswap is not the end of the story, since it is built on Ethereum, and as we have seen, Ethereum is not very capital efficient, you see a lot of economic inefficiencies. There is a competition going on about which DEXs will be alive in 5 years. So the end game is capital efficiency, and only the protocols and exchanges that can offer the best capital efficiency will be alive when everything else is equal in 5 years. So capital efficiency is the end game, and you need to build a product that is primed for capital efficiency. It needs to be as capital efficient as possible. But there is a problem because capital efficiency is centralizing. Capital efficiency, if a system is capital efficient, it attracts a lot more value. For example, MEV is capital efficient for the value extractors, so they are organizing in gangs. Flashbots is a protocol that, or a mechanism that allows MEV value extractors to organize and coordinate on how they're extracting value. So it's centralizing towards the participants of Flashbots. They want to be good people, so they say, let's democratize it, but it's still centralizing. If an exchange has a lot of liquidity, it's more capital efficient, and so it is centralizing. So the problem is when we want to establish a decentralized ecosystem, we need to counteract the centralizing effects of capital efficiency. We want to have capital efficiency, but we do not want to have the centralizing effects of capital efficiency. And so the thing that we're setting against this is fairness. We need capital efficiency and fairness. And fairness basically means, it's hard to define. What is fairness actually? Because fairness can mean something different for everyone. So this is the actual debate that we're having. If they're centralizing the effects, how can we create a system that is fair to all kinds of participants, to liquidity providers, to traders, to the token holders, to the development team, to the community, and so on and so on and so on. So this is where the actual real discussion is happening. But it is a discussion you need to have if you want to build the DeFi products of the future that are giving power back to the people and giving everyone control of their own money. So Ethereum is not built for DeFi. It is built as general purpose machine for smart contracts, and it can fix high gas costs, it can fix MEV, and it cannot fix locking capital and staking. So we've been looking at how we can fix this, and we found a very good ecosystem to do it, Polkadot and its parachains to the rescue. Polkadot is an ecosystem that allows teams to build chains that are optimized for certain use cases. So we can build an ecosystem and a parachain that is settled in the ecosystem of Polkadot. It is secured by the economic security and safety of Polkadot. It allows us to send messages to other parachains in a secure and trustless way, and basically transact value with other chains. So it allows us to make up new rules for an ecosystem that should optimize for the users in the way we want. It's our chains, our rules. So this is Mangata. It's the DEX of Polkadot, and the goal is to trade crypto without gas, front running, and MEV. This is what we set out to do. And so these are the design goals of Mangata. We want to minimize MEV, we want to optimize for capital efficiency, and we want to maintain an equitable and level playing field for all users. And at the same time, there should be an economically viable business model for the chain. So the chain should become decentralized and self-sufficient. The chain basically should become a DAO that is able to pay for its own operational costs, for its development, and every service that is done for the chain is getting compensated to the people doing the service for the chain. This way it can become decentralized and still fulfill all of those goals. We are combining some features into this that are all playing into each other. So since Substrate and the Polkadot ecosystem allow us to do very deep changes to the chain, we can create a whole ecosystem, a whole system that optimizes for capital efficiency and fairness. We can add to the trust of the system by creating a proof of liquidity layer. So this basically means that we're not longer having this opposite effect of staking and liquidity, where with a higher stake, the liquidity of the ecosystem goes down, like you have it in proof of stake, but rather like in proof of liquidity, where with a growing liquidity, you grow the stake. So how does it work? Instead of staking native tokens, you stake LP tokens. So from the liquidity pool, from the exchange, you're getting liquidity, you're providing liquidity. The capital keeps working in the system, and you're staking the liquidity. So this is how we're creating trust and increase liquidity and capital efficiency at the same time. We have found a mechanism. So this famous architecture now. We found a mechanism to add economic security to the system to prevent front running at MEV. It's called themes architecture. Changes the way blocks are produced, and there are dedicated videos and blog posts on it on our website. We want to increase capital efficiency for our users with gasless swaps. So it means for most of the transactions, we have found ways to basically prevent any gas costs. You're not paying gas on most swaps, you have gasless swaps. With algorithmic buy and burn, which aligns the incentives for token holders, of DEX token holders and the DEX, by burning a little bit of our native token on every swap that you're doing. So every swap creates a little bit of a buy and burn pressure and will remove tokens from the system. And to align the incentives of liquidity providers and the rest of the system, we are adding time incentivization, which means the longer you provide liquidity, the more rewards you are getting from liquidity mining. So it creates more loyalty, it creates a calmer liquidity, and it should align the incentives of liquidity providers and the rest of the users. So you see, we are looking at all the big problems in DeFi, we're identifying individual solutions, and we see how we can create a system where all of these effects are playing into each other. To close it down, our vision is to fix DeFi, make Mangata the DEX of Polkadot, and give Web3 velocity. Polkadot is an ecosystem where a lot of Web3 projects are launching. So non-DeFi projects, but projects like Robonomics, which are doing IoT, Oak Network, which are doing on-chain automation, Imbue Network, who are doing on-chain decentralized crowdfunding, and many more. We want to give them velocity. We want to give them exposure by listing their tokens and making them available for the world. And we want to bridge to all major ecosystems, because eventually we want to list all the tokens. If you want to list your token on Mangata, you can reach out to me. You can reach me on Twitter at EdisonBob. You also can find me on Telegram. And of course, we invite you to follow Mangata.Finance on Twitter at Mangata.Finance. This is the Twitter handle. May the air will bless you with infinite rewards. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, Tommy. Thanks for your presentation. I think that you have created more than clear what the problem is and what the solution Mangata offers. We are unfortunately, in a very bad situation, but we have this amazing project that offers us much better solutions in Web3 and totally self-custody and without giving your passwords to strangers. I also love the removal of transaction fees. I think that it's amazing, and I show that all the people here has pass through the height phase of Ethereum and finding a solution to this is amazing. Now I have a question: is that for people who don't understand, our listeners who don't understand what Web3 is, you can give a brief description of what Web3 is and how this empower people.
Yeah, sure. Web3 is giving the control of the internet into the hands of the people. So the internet is this awesome creation of humankind where we can share our ideas and our knowledge on social media sites like Twitter and Reddit and many more, uh, Instagram and all the social media sites. And so you have Web 1, you have Web 2, and you have Web 3. Web 1 was initially just this network of computers and people could share the knowledge. But it was not a very flexible system, it was very static. And so Web 2 was basically this invention of making the web dynamic and allowing you to create content on other places, not just your own server. So Web 2 was everything like Facebook and Instagram and all the pages that allowed you to create content. But the problem that Web 2 created was that it was creating these silos, and you're basically giving away your power. You're giving away your creations to other entities who take custody of your images, of your messages, and so on. They have been monetizing you. They have been offering the services to you for free, but not really for free because you're basically giving away your data. This is okay in many cases. It is okay for me, but I think we can do better. And what Web3 allows us is it puts control back into our hands where we want it. There is an awesome project in the Polkadot ecosystem, which is called Kilt. It's about decentralized identity. And I think it's a very tangible example. Today, when you want to log in into a website, on many websites, you can see this button, log in with Facebook, log in with Google. And it's super practical. I use it every day. But at the same time, I understand that this comes with an implicit price, which is basically that Google, Facebook know exactly what I'm doing, which websites I'm visiting, and they can create my interest-based profiles and target me. And also, those data can be sold between companies, and it happens a lot more than people are aware. Companies are sharing this data, exchanging it out, selling it, and oftentimes you're just agreeing with it with the terms of service, or maybe companies don't care with the terms of service. So Web3 puts this control in our hand, and for example, what Kilt is doing, they're building your own identity that is in your own hands, that is in your control, so that in the future, maybe there is a login with Kilt button, and you have an exact control over which information you want to expose to other people. If you're above a certain age, which gender you are, if you have any religious affiliation or sexual orientation or whatever, you do not need to expose it except when you exactly want to expose it. So Web3 is putting the control back in our hand. And I think it's hugely important to not only think about money in crypto, but actually Web3, which is the ultimate goal, is to make all the awesome creations that humans are building, giving the power of those back to them again.
Yeah, I think that it's the goal. Amazing explanation. That's true that they have your data or our data, and that above they show I think it's not good. We have to be yourself and have your own control of your assets, I think, and your data, image, all of this kind of thing. Now we are talking about that your collaboration with Invua, you have listed the token of Invua in the Manganta X. You can explain this a better, please? It's amazing, the blog.
Yeah, sure. So right now, as of this recording, we have a few other tokens listed. So KSM, the Kusama network token, then Turing from Oak Network, and Imbu. Imbu network is decentralized crowdfunding. So I think many people know Kickstarter, where projects can introduce themselves. They say, we want to build this product, this service, this game, whatever. And then people can crowdfund it. They can support it and they get a perk. So let's say I support this game development with $50 and I will get the game for free during the launch, and maybe I get a nice collectible. And what Imbu is doing, they want to basically build this in a Web3 in a decentralized way. And in crypto, we can feel this a lot of times where projects are saying, we want to build this nice crypto project. And so sometimes they're dishonest and they want to just rug and run away with the money. But sometimes projects want to be honest, but they're just not delivering. They're changing their opinion, they're pivoting. And so it creates a lot of problem, and that people are investing, but they're not really having a guarantee that what they're getting, what they're paying for, or what they're investing into, if they're really getting it. It might be okay for the original cowboy, Wild West days, originally of crypto, but I think we have to get past that phase. And Imbu Network is creating this service where any project can offer and create, basically say, we want to build this nice thing. This is what we want to do. This is the money we need. And can create milestones, and then on Imbu Network. And then if they deliver on the milestones, they can then get rewarded because the community says, yes, it was delivered what was promised. So the project that originally made the promise will get the reward that they are doing. So it creates a market for innovation, for creativity. And I think it's a very good example for the direction that we can put in Web3 by giving power to communities and to individuals, to freelancers, to create stuff and get compensated for it.
Oh, so have a new market for the innovation, for the creation in the Web3. It's an amazing opportunity for all developers. And now we are arriving to the final of the interview. The last question is, if I'm a blockchain developer or any developer, how can I build on the Mangata?
Yeah. So in general, it depends on the layer you're building on. If you're not yet active in the Polkadot ecosystem, I can just highly suggest to give it a read. You can visit the official Polkadot.network website. There is a wiki with a lot of interesting information. What got me hooked is the governance, the on-chain governance. So a lot of things are handled on-chain, which is really impressive, I think. So getting hooked into Polkadot, I think, is a very good start. If you're already active in the Polkadot ecosystem and you find your way around, there is the Mangata SDK. You can find it on the blog. You can also Google Mangata SDK. And it is already, I think, in the version 1 point something. I'm not really sure. So we are already past 1.0. And the Mangata SDK is a TypeScript library. It allows you to tap into everything that we're building. So we're using our own SDK when building our frontend. And the SDK allows you to list all the pools, to trade, to create new liquidity, basically everything you can do in the frontend or that you could be interested in, you can do it. The Mangata SDK. If you're interested in building, you can also hop by in our Discord, reach out with your idea, and we could discuss it if there is a way to support it. For example, one team that is already building against the Mangata SDK is YieldPay. They are building an awesome product, yieldpay.io, list.yieldpay.io, where they are listing a lot of pairs and liquidity that is available in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystems. They are listing a lot of tokens by liquidity, by APR, And so, for example, you can find how much APR you're getting right now on MGX InView, on MGX Tour. It is listing you the latest numbers. It is listing you the liquidity, of course, for many other projects too. And they are already integrating against the Mangata SDK. So it's available. And if you want to build an integration or something on top of this, you can build on it. Also, one other piece of information, if you're a Parachain team, what we're currently doing with Touring is we are co-developing a feature. So everyone is building features for their respective chain. And in the future, via XCM, both chains will be able to talk with each other and basically tap into the features that we have co-developed. So if it is a very powerful feature, I think our team is, of course, interested to co-develop it together when we're doing XCM shenanigans.
Wow, I think that the developers have all the tools, all the information on your docs, on your Mangata SDK. So yeah, you will have all the information of Mangata in the description of the video. You can go and browse on it. And yeah, Tommy, it have been a pleasure to have with you here on the week event and on the presentation. It was amazing. It was an honor to have Mangata with us in the week event. And now you can say whatever you want.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to the week. This was really fun. It was nice to present Mangata to you. If you liked it, or if you want to just talk, whatever, reach out via Twitter, via the DMs. I always like to have a conversation. And all the best to you.
So we close the interview. Thanks for listening to us, and yeah, see you in the next interview. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.